Hi everyone, welcome to GoClasses. In this video we will start propositional logic. So in the last lecture we have already seen that in our GATE syllabus we have two type of logic. One is propositional logic, another is first order logic. We have already seen in the last class what is mathematical logic, and there are different types of mathematical logic available. I told you that there are many type of mathematical logic. For example, propositional logic, first order logic, second order logic, third order logic, okay, fuzzy logic. So many different type of logics are there in this mathematical logic. This is a huge field of mathematics. But remember, in our GATE syllabus we only have two type of logic. One is propositional logic, another is first order logic. Now, so these two we will study, and in this lecture we will start propositional logic. So what is this propositional logic? Let's focus on this propositional logic now. Don't worry, what is the difference? You might be thinking, sir, what is the difference between propositional logic and first order logic? So that difference also we will see. But first we will study propositional logic. Okay, we will see what happens inside propositional logic. Okay, and similarly then we will study first order logic, and then we will see the difference between propositional logic and first order logic. Okay, now let's start with propositional logic. This is our first topic. This is our first type of logic that we will study, and let me tell you that this is the simplest type of logic that is there. Okay, so this propositional logic, this is actually simpler than first order logic. Okay, so this is the simplest type of logic that is available, so that we will study. This propositional logic we will start now. This is the simplest type of logic that we will study. Let's start. So let's see the overview of propositional logic. So what is this propositional logic? This is a world of true or false. Very simple. So in the world, basically in propositional logic, everything is either true or false. Every variable is either true or false. See, let me tell you that. See, in your normal mathematics, if you see the general mathematics, number theory, if you see, so in the mathematics world, in the normal mathematics world, what happens? If you take any variable, for example, variable x, you take, this is a variable, then this variable can take any real value, or this can, if this is an integer variable, then for example, let's assume that this is an integer variable. If this is an integer variable, then this can take any integer value. This x can be 3, this x can be -3, this x can be 0, this x can be 3000. Okay, so this can be any, this can take any integer value. Similarly, if this, consider this variable y, if this is a real variable y, okay, if this is a real variable means it can take any real value. So if you take any real variable y, then this can take any real value. For example, it can be pi, it can be 2.3, it can be 0. Okay, so very simple. So in this normal mathematics, if you notice, then these variables, they can take any they can take many different values they can take. Okay, so if you have an integer variable, this can take any integer value. If you have a real variable, it can take any real value. So in this normal mathematics that you study, in that, or I can say in number theory, when I say normal mathematics, simply you can consider this as the number theory. Okay, now, so in the world of mathematics, every variable, if you see, that can take many different type of values it can take. Okay, so but if you notice the world of propositional logic, if you focus on this propositional logic world, then in this world, remember, in this propositional logic, this is very simple world. Okay, this is a very simple type of world, I can say. This is a very simple world. Okay, in this world, what happens? In this world of propositional logic, what happens? That every variable, if you notice, every variable, that can be either true or that can be false. That's it. Either it will be true or it will be false. Whatever variable you take, every variable will be either true or it will be false. So very simple. This is a very simple type of world. This is a world of true, false, as I told you. So if anyone asks you what is propositional logic, then you can say that this is a world of true, false. In this, I can say that any variable if you take, in this propositional logic, any variable if you take, that variable either can take true, either it can be true or it can be false. Okay, this true you can also write by t, or you can simply write by 1. This false you can write by f, or you can write by 0. Okay, so either you can write false, or you can write f, or you can write 0. Similarly, either you can write true, or you can write t, or you can write 1. Okay, very simple thing that this propositional logic, this is a world of true, false. This is a very simple world. If you notice, this is not complicated as your normal mathematics. In the normal mathematics, variables can take many different type of values, so that is very complex world. Okay, I can say this world of mathematics, this is very complicated. The variables can take many different values, so that is a very complicated world. But the world of propositional logic is very simple. This is a very simple world. In this world, every variable is only taking two values, true or false, true or false. So you can notice that in this world of propositional logic, this is a world of true comma false. Every variable can be either true or it can be false. That is the reason because only two values your variable is taking. Any variable in the world of propositional logic is only taking one of these two values. Either it can be true or it can be false. Then that is the reason this variable is also called propositional variable. That is the reason it is also called propositional variable, or that is the reason it is also called Boolean variable. You can either call it propositional variable or you can call it Boolean variable. Why we are calling it Boolean variable? See, what is the reason we call it? What is the reason why we call it Boolean variable? This variable P, why we call it Boolean variable? Because it is taking one of the two possible values. This variable P, it is either true or it is false. It is only taking one of these two values. Okay, so that is the reason this variable, this is also called Boolean variable. Okay, either you can call it Boolean variable or you can call it propositional variable. But the final point is this, that the propositional logic, that is a world of true comma false. In this propositional logic, every variable is either true or false. So this is a very simple world. Okay, now let's move on. So I hope this point is clear, that this propositional variable, why this is called Boolean variable. The reason is very simple, that any propositional variable will take only one of these two values. This variable, this is either true or this is false. So that is the reason this variable is also called Boolean variable. Okay, simple. Now let's move on. Now the first concept that we need to study, that is, what is a proposition? In this like propositional logic, you might be thinking, sir, what this word means, proposition? Okay, this word proposition, what this means? So let's see what is proposition that we need to study now. What is a proposition? This proposition, this is basically a sentence which is either true or false. That's it. This is a declarative sentence. Let's see the definition of proposition. The proposition, remember, a proposition is a declarative sentence. What declarative means? Declarative sentence means it is declaring a fact. It is a declaring a fact. Okay, either false fact or true fact. It is declaring a fact. See, so what is this declarative sentence? Now, this is declaring a fact, either true fact or false fact. So very simple. A proposition is a declarative sentence that is either true or false. Okay, it will be either true or it will be false. Remember, it should be either true or false. It cannot be both. It should be one of them. Okay, so this type of sentence is called proposition. The another word for proposition is statement. Remember, you can call it proposition or you can call it statement. These two things are same. Okay, so this proposition, the another name is statement. So what is a statement, or I can say what is a proposition? Proposition is basically a sentence. This is a declarative sentence to which we can assign either true or false. Okay, one of these two values I can assign. Okay, so please understand that this is a declarative sentence to which it is possible to assign a either true or false. With example, this will be clear. What I am telling you is very simple, that this proposition, this is just a assertive sentence. Proposition, this proposition is basically I can say this is a assertive sentence, or assertive, or you can say declarative sentence. Either you can call it assertive or you can call it declarative sentence. So this is a assertive sentence, or I can say declarative sentence. And this proposition, remember, to this proposition, to this statement, to this sentence, you can either assign true or you can assign false. Either you can assign true or you can assign false. So either it will be true or it will be false. but it cannot be both. Like it should not happen that at the same time when it is true, it can be false also at the same time. Please understand this very carefully. It should not happen that when it is true then it is false, and when it is false then it is true. Okay, so if you say if it is true then it should be true, if it is false then it should be false. The point is very simple, that either this should be true, this proposition, either this should be true or this should be false. Okay, if it is true, if you say that for example, if it is true then it should be true only, then it should not be false, and if it is false then it should be false only, it should not be true. So either it must be true or it must be false, one of them it must be. Okay, so this type of declarative sentence is called proposition. Let's see examples. So consider this example. Look at this sentence. Read this sentence. Jaipur is the capital of India. Is this declarative sentence? Is this assertive sentence? Yes, this is assertive sentence. You can see this is declaring a fact. This is saying that Jaipur is the capital of India. This is the fact it is declaring. See, this is a false fact, I know. Okay, we know that New Delhi is the capital of India. So this is a false fact, but that is not a problem. That is not a problem. The point is that to this sentence we can assign either true or false. One of them we can assign. See, we can assign false to this. We know that this is false. This sentence is false. So that is the reason this is a proposition. So please understand very carefully that proposition can be either true or it can be false. Okay, but the point is proposition is a sentence, is a declarative sentence to which we can assign either true or false. One of them we can assign. Okay, so you can see this Jaipur is the capital of India. This is a proposition because we know that this is false, or I can say that this is an assertive sentence to which we can assign either true or false. Similarly, all cows are brown. This is also a proposition. So this is also proposition. Of course, this is a false proposition. Again, this is a false proposition. But the point is simple, that this is a proposition. Okay. So we know that to this sentence we can assign true or false. So you can see that this is a false. So I can say this is a proposition because to this sentence, this is a declarative sentence. It is declaring the fact that all cows are brown. That is a false fact. We know that that is a false fact, but the point is to this sentence we can assign true or false. One of them we can assign. So this is a proposition. What about this sentence? 2 into 2 equal to 5. This is also a proposition because we know that this is declaring a fact. This is declaring a fact, and this is saying that 2 multiplied by 2 is 5. So this is declaring a fact, remember. Again, so this is a false fact, but the point is that because this is declaring a fact and to this sentence we can assign true or false, one of them we can assign. So that is the reason this is a proposition. Similarly, you can notice this sentence. The earth is further from the sun than Venus. Okay. See, do you know, is this true or false? Do we need to know is this true or false? Tell me. Like, will you Google that, okay, is this true or false? I want to know, is this proposition or not? This sentence, is this proposition or not? For that, do you need to know whether it is true or false? Do you need to know? Do you need that knowledge? The answer is no. We don't need that knowledge. We know that this is a declarative sentence. Either this is true or false. Only one thing can happen, right? Only one thing can happen, right? Do you agree with me that read this sentence, and when you Google this sentence, either this will be true or this will be false. One of them can happen. Both of them cannot happen. It cannot happen that this will be true also, this will be false also. Simple point that if you see this sentence, if you read this sentence, you know that either this will be true or this will be false. Only one of them it can be. Okay, if it is true, then it cannot be false. If it is false, then it cannot be true. Only one of them it can be. So very simple that this sentence is either true or it is false, but not both. Okay, so that is the reason I can say this is also proposition. Next, let's see this example. There are 1,000 stones on the Mars. Now tell me, will you go to Mars to find out if it is the proposition or not? This sentence, read this sentence. to find out whether this sentence is proposition or not, will you go to Mars? Do you need to go to the Mars and do you need to count the number of stones? The answer is no. You can see that very easily. You can see that this sentence, you know that either this is true or this is false. This sentence, either this will be true or this will be false. If the Mars has 1,000 stones, then it will be true. And if the Mars has does not have 1,000 stones, then this will be false. Very simple that this sentence is either true or false. If this sentence is true, then this cannot be false. If this sentence is false, then it cannot be true. One of them it is. We know that one of them it is. Either it is true or it is false. We know that this sentence is one of them. So that is the reason this is a proposition. What about this sentence? In the 7th century, in the 7th century, okay, so what we are saying, in the 7th century, 90,000 people were born. Now tell me, do you need to go in the past? Will you do the time traveling to find out if it is true or not? I want to know if it is proposition or not. Is this sentence proposition or not? I want to know that. Now for that, do I need to do the time travel? Do I need to go to 7th century and do I need to count the number of people who were born? The answer is no. You can simply see, very simply you can see that this sentence, either this is true or false. In 7th century, either these many people were born or these many people were not born. Okay, so this sentence is either true or false. Okay, we don't need to know whether it is true or false. Remember, we don't need that knowledge. I am not asking if it is true or not. I am not asking if it is false or not. I am asking, is it proposition or not? And you can notice that either this sentence is true or this sentence is false, but it cannot be both. This sentence is either true or this sentence is false, but this sentence cannot be both. Okay, so you know that if it is true, then it is not false, and if it is false, then it is not true. So this sentence, whatever you do, this sentence is either true or false. So that is the reason this is also proposition. So this sentence is also proposition. I hope all these points are clear. So proposition, these are some more examples of propositions. So you can see that these are also propositions. Like you can see this is a proposition. Puppies are cuter than kittens. This is a proposition. We know that either this is true or this is false. Okay, remember one more thing. Please understand, remember one more thing. Maybe you are thinking that this is false. From your point of view, this is false. From my point of view, maybe this is true. Now you will be thinking, sir, from your point of view, it is true. From my point of view, it is false. Then can I say this is proposition? Can we say that this is proposition? And the answer is yes. This is proposition. Why this is proposition? The reason is very simple, that in any situation, whether it is from your point of view or it is from my point of view, whatever point of view you take, okay, from any person's point of view you take, this sentence will be either true or it will be false, but it cannot be both. Please understand. Whatever person you take, whether you take from your point of view, whether you consider from my point of view, or whether you consider from some other person's point of view, this sentence on your screen, this sentence that you have, either this sentence will be true or this sentence will be false, but it cannot be both. Okay, so this sentence, again you can notice, either this will be true or this sentence will be false, but this sentence cannot be both. Either this will be true or it will be false. From anyone's point of view, you fix one person. Okay, you can fix yourself. This is my suggestion. You can fix yourself. From your point of view, you think. So from your point of view, you can easily notice that either this will be true or this will be false, but it cannot be both. One of them it will be. So that is the reason this is a proposition. What about the next statement? The next sentence, kittens are cuter than the puppies. Again you can notice this is also a proposition. Why? Because from any person's point of view, this sentence will be either true or it will be false, but it cannot be both. So again you can notice this sentence will be either true or this sentence will be false, but it cannot be both. Once you fix one point of view, okay, from your point of view you can think that, so from your point of view you can see that this sentence cannot be both. Either this will be true or it will be false. Similarly, Usain Bolt can outrun everyone in this room. This is also a proposition because you can see that either this will be true or this will be false. Okay, so similarly you can notice this sentence is also a proposition because either this is true or this is false. Okay, similarly this is the last entry in this list. In this list, this is the last entry, this is true. So this is also a proposition because you can easily see that this will be either true or false. One of them it will be. Okay, now some more examples if you want, some more propositions. These are also the propositions you can easily see. I came in like a wrecking ball. Okay, so you can easily see that this is a proposition because either this is true or this is false. One of them it will be. See, if I come like a wrecking ball, then it is true. If I don't come like a wrecking ball, then it is false. The point is simple that this is either true or false. The point is very simple. Either this statement is true or this sentence is false. But one of them it will be. One of them it will be. Either this will be true or it will be false. One of them it will be. Next, I am a champion. This is also proposition because either it will be true or it will be false. You are going to hear me roar. Okay, so this is also either true or it is false. One of them it will be. Okay, either you will hear me roar or maybe you will not hear me roar. But so the point is simple that this is either true or false, but not both. One of them it is. Either true or false. One of them. We all just entertainers. Okay, so this is also either true or false. To this sentence you can assign either true or false. Either it is true or it is false. The point is simple that one of them it is. Okay, either this or this, one of them. So that is the reason this is also proposition. So what is the final conclusion? That proposition is a sentence. Please understand that proposition, this is the simple idea. Proposition is a sentence which is either true. You can either assign this true or you can assign false to this sentence. So this is either true or false, one of them. Okay, this type of sentence is called proposition. So it is either true or it is false, one of them, not both. Okay, not both, one of them it is. So either it will be true or it will be false. Now let's see. So what is not a proposition? Now you have the idea of what is a proposition. This idea you understood. Okay, somewhat like some idea you have now. Now maybe some doubt might be there. You might be having some doubt, but you have some idea you have that what is a proposition, what is a proposition. This some idea you got. But what is not a proposition? Which type of sentences are not a proposition? So let's see. Commands are not a proposition. See, a command is never a proposition because command cannot be true or false, right? See, for example, this is a command. Fly you fools. Okay? Fly you fools. Now this sentence, read this sentence. This sentence is basically a command. Okay? We are giving a command that fly you fools. So you can easily see that command is not a true or false. This sentence is not true or false sentence. This is not a declarative sentence. This is a, I can say, imperative sentence, or I can say you can simply call it imperative sentence. So commands cannot be true or false. To this sentence you cannot assign true or false. Okay, this is not I can say true or false. So very simple that this is not a proposition. So things that are not proposition, this type of sentence, commands are not propositions. Similarly, questions are not propositions. Okay, question cannot be true or false. See, read this sentence. Why humans sit like this? So a question statement, interrogative statements. Okay, so you can notice that a question statement is not a proposition. So questions are not proposition. Proposition is a declarative sentence. So you can see this is not a declarative sentence. This sentence is not a declarative sentence. So that is the reason this is a question sentence. That is the reason this is not a proposition. This is not a declarative sentence. This is a command. So this is not a proposition. You can easily see, look out. This is an imperative sentence. This is a command, look out. Okay. So this is not a proposition because this is not a declarative sentence. This look out, if you notice, this is called imperative sentence. Imperative sentences are not propositions. So this is not a proposition. The next, how far is it to the next one. This is a question. This is a question. So this is also not a proposition. Next, read this. X plus 2 equal to 2x. So let's assume that x is the universe is the integer. This x can be integer. So now you can notice that, see, this is an assertive sentence. Please understand, this is a assertive, this is a declarative sentence. This is a assertive sentence, this is a declarative sentence, but still this is not a proposition. Why? Because it will depend on what is the value of x. See, if this x is any integer, this x can be any integer, this is any integer. Now you can notice that whether this sentence, whether this equation, or I can say whether this sentence is true or false, that will depend on x. X is free here. You see, in this, if you notice, x is free. You can put x equal to 2, x equal to 3, x equal to 4, x equal to 5. X is free here. So depending on the x, the value will change. Depending on x, it can be for different x it is for different x it is true, for different x it is false. Okay, so for different values of x it is true or false. So basically the what is this true or false, that will depend on what is x, what is the particular value of x you take. So you can see this is not a proposition. The reason is simple, because in this you have a free variable. There is a free variable in this. If you look at this x is a free variable. Free variable means you can replace this x with any integer. So understand that this is a free variable. Free variable means, what this free variable means, it means that this x you can replace with any integer, and depending on this value of x it will be true or false. So this is not a proposition, because it will depend, the truth value, is it true or false, that will depend on what is the value of x you are putting. So this type of sentences are also not proposition, in which you have a free variable. Let's move on. See this sentence, sentences that are not a proposition. So now you can easily see that, do you want to go to the movies? This is a question. This is not a declarative sentence. So this is not a proposition. Clean up your room. This is an imperative sentence. This is not a declarative sentence. This is not a declarative sentence. This is imperative sentence. This is a command. So this is not a proposition. Let's see this example. Consider this example. 2x equal to 2 plus x. So this sentence, you can notice, this is not a proposition. Again, this is not a proposition. The reason is simple, that this is a declarative sentence, but unless we know the value of x, what is the value of x we are putting, unless we know the value of x, this sentence is neither true or false. So this is not a proposition, because whether it is true or false, that will depend on this variable x, and this variable, you can easily see, this is a free variable. You can replace this variable with any integer. Depending on the value of x, it will be true or false. So that is the reason this is not a proposition, because right now we don't know the value of x, right? We do not know the value of x. So right now this is neither true nor false. We cannot say it is true, we cannot say it is false. Okay, so that will depend on the value of x. So this is not a proposition. Let's see the next example. Let's see this example. These two examples, you notice which of them is a proposition. Think about it. Pause the video and think about it. Which of the following is a proposition? Two statements, two sentences are given to you. This sentence, two sentences are on your screen. Pause the video and think about it. Which of them is a proposition? Okay, so let me answer it. See, we have already seen that this is not a proposition, clearly, because in this you have a free variable n. So this is definitely not a proposition, because you know that in this there is a free variable n. You have a free variable n. You have a free variable n, and this n can take any integer value. This can take any integer value. Okay, so depending on the value this n will take, this will be true or false. So basically we cannot say it is true or false. To this sentence we cannot assign true or false, because it will depend on the value of n. Okay, and this n here, this is a free variable. So if you put n equal to 2, then it will be true. If you put n equal to 10, then it will be false. So you can easily see that for n equal to 2, this is true. For n equal to 10, this is false. So depending on the value of n, it will change. The truth value is changing depending on the value of n. So at this point of time, without knowing what is n, without the information of n, we cannot say it is a true or false. We cannot assign true or false. One of those we cannot assign. So that is the reason I can say this is not a proposition. Now what about this sentence? See, forget about proposition, forget about today's lecture. Go back to your 10th class, 11th class. Okay, please, forget about everything and just use your common sense and tell me this statement. If you see this statement in your 10th class, 11th class, will you say this is true or false? Will you say? Forget about proposition, forget about this proposition, forget about it. You tell me simple point that if you are in 9th class, 10th class, 11th class, then will you say that this statement is true? Yes, this statement is true, right? This statement, we already know this statement is true. We know that for all integers, for every integer, whatever integer you take, for every integer, 2n is a even number. So this is a true. To this sentence, we can say that this is true. So that is the reason. Remember, this is a proposition. This is a proposition. So this is a proposition. Why this is a proposition? Now you might be thinking, there is a variable in this. There is a variable in this. This is a variable. This variable we have in this. So if there is a variable, then how it can be proposition? In this also we have a variable. Here also we have a variable. Here also we have a variable. Now this is not a proposition, but this is a proposition. So what is the reason? What is the difference? Let me tell you the difference. In this sentence, there is no free variable. This n is not a free variable. Please understand. This is not a free variable. This is not a free variable. This n is not a free variable. See, this sentence, if you look at this sentence, this is talking about all integers. It is saying for all integers, 2n is an even number. For every integer, 2n is an even number. So here this n is not a free variable. Or I can say that basically in this sentence does not depend on n. Look at this. Please understand. I can remove this. I can remove this n. I can remove this n. I can remove, and I can simply say that for all integers, twice of it is an even number. For all integers, I can say for all integers, twice is an even number. So you can easily see that this is not a free variable. This n on your screen, this n is not a free variable. This is not free. So you can easily see, use your common sense. Please, if you are in your 11th class, 12th class, then you can easily see that this is a true sentence. Okay. So this sentence is proposition because in this sentence there is no free variable. Here you have a free variable. Here you can replace this n with some value. This n you can replace with 2, 3, 4. But here there is no free variable. Okay. So the last thing that we need to see. So far what I told you. So far I told you that proposition is either true or false. What I told you. So far I told you that proposition is either true or proposition is false. One of them. It cannot be both in any situation. In any situation, if it is true, then it is not false. And if it is false, then I can say then it is not true. See, very simple. Proposition is either this or this. Either it is true or it is false, but not both. But not both. In any situation, in a particular situation, remember, if you fix a situation, in any situation, either this will be true or this will be false, but it cannot be both. If it is true, then it cannot be false. If it is false, then it cannot be true. This is the definition of proposition. So you can simply say that if it is true, if it is true, then it cannot be false. If it is true, then it cannot be false. Then it cannot be in that same situation. In any situation, see, in any situation, if it is true, then in that situation, in that same situation, it cannot be false. Okay, if it is true, then it cannot be false. And if it is false, then it cannot be true. So in any particular situation, like from your point of view, you can fix from your point of view. From your point of view, you can see that if it is true, then from your point of view, this cannot be false. from your point of view, if this is false, then from your point of view, this cannot be true. So either this is true or this is false, one of them, but not both. Now let's see this example, this statement, this sentence. See this. This sentence is false. Now let me tell you that this is also not a proposition. This is actually a paradox. This sentence is a paradox. Now let's understand this. First, let's understand this, what we are saying. See, let's assume that this sentence you have. Okay. See, let's assume this sentence you have, S is false. Okay. So you have this sentence. Please understand, you have this sentence. So this sentence you have, S is false. Okay. Now I am writing this with S. So basically, what is this S? S is saying that S is false. Means this sentence S is saying that S is false. Okay. Now consider this. So this is your sentence. Okay. Now you can notice. So this sentence, this sentence I am writing with S. Okay. This sentence I am writing with S. Now this S is basically saying that S is false. Now what do you think? What will happen? See, something interesting is going to happen. If I assume that if I keep this S as true. Okay. Let's see the case 1. If I think that S is true, if I assign this S as true, to this S, if I assign the truth value true, if I say that S is true, case 1, if I say that S is true, then what will happen? See, if I say this S is true, then what will happen? If I say this S is true, then it means this is true. Okay. So if I say that this S is true, then what it means? It means that this is true. It means this is true. Okay. This is true. Okay. So I can say this is true means S is false. So I can say this is true. And this is true means this is true. What that means? That means S is false, because this is saying that S is false. So if this box is true, then this box is saying that S is false. So then S is false. Now you can see what is happening. See, if I say S is true, then S is false. So if you assign, what is something happening? This is happening that if you assign S is true, if you say S is true, if S is true, then S is false. If you say S is true, then S is false. That is that is paradox, right? This type of situation is called paradox. If you are saying if S is true, then S will be false. So this type of situation is a paradox situation. Okay. Similarly, you can notice that if I assign, let's take case 2. Case 2 means if I say this S is false. This S is false. If this S is false, then what it means? Then it means that this box is false, right? Because this S is false. It means this box is false. This box is false. So this box is false. So this is a false. Now if this box is false, then what it means? This box is a false. In this box, whatever is written, that is false. So if this box is false, then this box is saying S is false, that is false. Like this box is saying S is false and that is false. It means S is true. So if this box is false, then S is true. Then S is true. Again, you can notice that if you say S is false, then S will be true. So this is what is happening here. Here what is happening? If you say that S is false, then you can see that S is true. So this is the paradox. I hope you understood that this sentence, remember this sentence is a paradox. This is a paradox. Why this is a paradox? Because if you say that this is true, then this will be false. If you say this is false, then this will be true. See, this is a paradox. Why this is a paradox? Because if you say S is true, if you assign to this S, if you assign the value true, then this S will be false. Similarly, to this S, if you assign the value false, if you say S is false, then S will be true. So this type of situation is happening. Okay, so that is the reason this is called a paradox. And if you have this type of situation, then definitely this type of situation is not a proposition. So this, because this type of situation is not a proposition, a paradox is not a proposition. Okay, so a paradox, that is not a proposition. Very simple. So I hope all these points are clear. Very clearly we have seen what is a proposition, what is not a proposition. And we have also seen this example, we have seen this sentence is false, this is a paradox. See this sentence is false, this is a paradox. So paradox is not a proposition. Why this is a paradox? Because you can easily see, if this is true then this will be false, if this is false then this will be true. So this type of situation is called paradox. Okay, if it is true then it is false, if it is false then it is true. And a paradox is not a proposition, because I told you that proposition means if it is true then it cannot be false. Proposition is either true or false, either it is true or it is false, but it is one of them. In any situation it is one of them, it cannot be both, it cannot be both. So if it is not true, then it will be false, if it is not false then it will be true. Okay, so you can notice it cannot be both. If it is true then it cannot be false, if it is false then it cannot be true. So it is either this or this, but it cannot be both. So this is the final point. A proposition is a sentence or statement that is either true or false. Commands are not proposition, questions are not proposition. So you can see here, commands and questions can't be propositions. So what is a proposition, what is not a proposition, we have already seen. Let me give you the conclusion. What is not a proposition? Not a proposition. So which type of sentences are not a proposition? So one is, questions are not propositions. The reason is, question is not a declarative sentence. So question is not a proposition. Similarly, imperative sentence is not a proposition. Imperative sentence, or you can say command, these are not propositions. Third, if you have free variable, okay, if there is free variable, so free variable, sentences with free variable, free variables, these are also not a proposition. And the fourth is paradox. If there is a paradox, like one example I gave you, so these paradox type of things, these are also not a proposition. So these are not propositions, these things do not come, these type of sentences do not come in the category of proposition. Other than that, very simple, proposition is a assertive sentence which is true or false. Okay, so very simple. So in a proposition, what happens? In this propositional logic, what happens? In this propositional logic, you know that in this propositional logic, every variable is true or false. Okay, every proposition is either true or false. If it is not true, then it is false. If it is not false, then it is true. So in this propositional logic, we have propositions. We study propositions. And you know that a proposition is either true or false. We know that this proposition, either this is true or this is false. One more thing, that this proposition, if this is not true, if this proposition is not true, then it simply means that it is false. Similarly, if it is not false, then that simply means that this is a true. Okay, because this is a world of true comma false. You know, this is a very simple world. This is a world of true comma false. So this is a world of true comma false. That is the reason I can say any proposition that is true or false, if it is not true, then that is same as false. And if it is not false, then that is same as true. Now let's see the next concept, and that is propositional variable. What is a propositional variable? This concept we need to see. This is very simple concept. Propositional variable, it simply means that every proposition is represented using a variable. Every proposition we represent with a variable. Very simple concept. So what is a propositional variable? Let's see. Each proposition will be represented by a propositional variable. So like you can use these letters for propositional variable. And remember, so point is simple, that if you have a proposition, if you have any proposition is a sentence, it is a declarative sentence which is true or false. Now, if you have any sentence proposition, this proposition will be represented using a propositional variable. For example, I can say R. Now this R is a propositional variable. This is a propositional variable. Now you can see that this R is representing this proposition. Please understand that this R, this variable, this propositional variable, this is representing this proposition. And because this proposition is true or false, this proposition is either true or false, so that is the reason this R is also either true or false. That is the reason I can say this R is also either true or this is a false. Very simple, correct? Okay, so either this is true or this is a false. Every propositional variable is either true or false. So each proposition variable can take one of the two values, that is true or false. So let's see example. Consider this. So you can see this is a proposition. Read this sentence. The sun is shining. You know that this is a proposition. Why this is a proposition? Tell me. Think about it. Why this sentence is a proposition? Because this is a declarative sentence. This is saying that the sun is shining. You know that either this is true or it is false, right? In any day, on any day, please understand, at any point of time, if it is true, then it is not false. At any point of time, it will be either true or false. One of them. It will be one of them. Correct. At any point of time, it will be one of them. Either it will be true at any point of time. Either it will be true or it will be false. But it cannot be both. At any point of time, either the sun is shining or the sun is not shining. So simply, at any point of time, either this will be true or this will be false. Not both of them. Both of them cannot happen. Either this will happen or this will not happen. So either this sentence is true or this sentence is false, but not both. So that is the reason this is a proposition. Because this is a proposition, so you can represent this by a propositional variable A. You can represent by a propositional variable. So you can use A or you can use P, or that is your choice. So you can represent this using a propositional variable. Let's represent YP. I feel happy. This is also a declarative sentence which is either true or false. Either I feel happy or I don't feel happy. So either this is true or this is false. But it cannot be both. At any point of time, in any situation, either this will be true or this will be false. One of them will happen, right? Okay. In any situation, one of them will happen. So this is also a proposition. I can represent this proposition with a propositional variable, that is H. Okay. So this proposition we can represent using proposition variable S. So remember, this H is a propositional variable. This is a propositional variable which is representing this sentence. Okay. Similarly, cats are furry. Cats are furry. Again, this is a proposition. You can represent this by proposition variable. So this is also a propositional variable. This propositional variable is representing this proposition. Similarly, this proposition, look at this proposition. So now you can see that this proposition can be represented using another propositional variable, for example, R. Now this propositional variable is representing this proposition. So very simple. This sentence you are representing using this variable. This sentence you are representing using this variable. This proposition you are representing using this variable. So every proposition, each proposition is represented by a propositional variable. This is what I am saying. Each proposition will be represented by a propositional variable. Okay. So you can easily see, we can easily see that some proposition variables to stand for the English sentences. For this is a proposition represented by A. This is a proposition represented by D. This is a proposition represented by B. So these are propositional variable. This is a propositional variable. Okay. Again, you can note this is a propositional variable. So every propositional variable is either true or it is a false. One of them. Okay. So this propositional variable is representing this sentence. It is representing this sentence. Okay. Similarly, this proposition variable is representing this proposition. Okay, so very easily you can notice. Now, so that is what we have seen. So we have seen the concept of propositional variable. It is a variable that represents proposition. For example, this is a proposition. Today is Friday. This is a proposition. Please understand why this is a proposition. Think about it. Please think about it. Why this is a proposition? Because on any day, either this is true or this is false. It cannot be both. Do you agree with me that on any particular day, you fix a day. Okay. On any day, either this will be true or this will be false. It cannot be both. On any day, if it is true, then it is not false. On any day, if it is false, then it is not true. So on any particular day, this is either true or this is false, but it cannot be both. It will be one of them. On any day, it will be one of them, either true or false. So easily you can see this is a proposition. And this proposition you can represent using this variable. Okay, so what is a propositional variable? That is a variable that represents proposition. This proposition you can represent using this variable. So this variable is representing this proposition. These are the truth value. I told you that every proposition is either true or false. So these are called truth value. Okay, so if you have a propositional variable, any propositional variable you take, I told you that in the propositional logic, every variable is either true or false. So if you take any propositional variable, that will be either it will be true or it will be false, because propositional logic is a world of true comma false. So it will be either true or it will be false. Now remember, these things are called truth values. These are called truth values. Okay, so these are called truth values. For example, let me give you example. Let's assume R is a true. Let's assume R is true. Then what you will say? If R is true, then what you will say? Then you will say that truth value of R is true. Then you will say that the truth value of R is T. Okay, truth value of R is T. Similarly, you can notice that if S is false, let's assume there is a variable S and that is false, then what you will say? Then you will say that truth value of S is F. Okay, so truth value of S is false. So remember this point, that we represent this true, we can also write as T, we can also write as 1, and this false we can also write as F, we can also write as 0. And these are called truth values. These are called truth values of propositions, or I can say propositional variables. So these are the truth values. Let's move on. So this is enough, and in the next lecture we will study atomic and compound proposition. What is an atomic proposition? What is a compound proposition? We will continue in the next lecture. Okay, thank you.